Hello, folks. I hope you had a very nice Diwali. Welcome back to Reality Check with Arvind Swaminathan. Well, now watch with mother, sit back, relax, and listen. Now, I know in all my previous videos, and many of them, you'll find that I've been totally anti Congress, or may sound anti Congress. However, all I was doing was putting out their plans since 1947 for our nation, the nation we call Bharat or India, whichever you choose. Now, some people have said, for instance, if you call us India, it's a name the British gave us. Quite correct. Our own identity is we are Bharat. If you look at our old postage stamps and so on, you'll find India in English, but when it's written in Hindi, it's written as Bharat, not India. Now, as I said, when somebody gives you a foreign name, it takes away your own identity. Now, this is precisely what Nehru and that family have been doing to us since even before 1947. Now, I'll explain. Every law that they brought in, and they don't do it all at once, piecemeal, little by little by little by little. You see, 1950, you can teach Islam and Christianity anywhere, but you are not permitted to teach Hinduism. Why? And then you call us a secular nation? How is this possible? So, in our present day Bharat or India, 1.1 billion people do not have any place where they can learn about their religion. Where do they go? Now, the one good thing you will find, all those, how shall I put it, indentured laborers who were taken to, say, the West Indies, Mauritius or Fiji, far away from their motherland, they have retained their Hindu culture. In fact, Guyana, for one, has proclaimed that it is a Hindu nation. And we are not allowed to do it because of that family? Thanks to Indira Gandhi and her emergency, when she inserted the word secular, without any discussion, into the Constitution of India. Now, may I request all you people who are about to vote and those who may have voted, please give Mr. Modi a hand so that he can govern both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha to get these things corrected. Without that majority in both houses, he cannot do it. He becomes a lame duck. Now, back to what the Congress has been doing. This is the first one. Then Nehru, even though he was empowered to formulate, enact, and implement a uniform civil code by the Constituent Assembly as far back as 1948, he brought in a Hindu civil code, or what they call a Hindu code bill. Why? Only Hindus are affected, the others have a free hand. They do what they please. Is it a secular nation? What kind of a monstrosity is this? Next, ever since 1948, the borders, especially with East Pakistan and now Bangladesh, have been very open. People just keep wandering in. And since 1971, Congress governments have ensured that anybody who wants to come in does. Rajiv Gandhi, in his moment of stupidity or whatever, he brought in another amendment to the Citizenship Act. I think Article 6. He put in a 6A, saying that all those who migrated from Bangladesh into Assam, only Assam mind you, up to 1971, were automatically citizens of India. I mean, what kind of nonsense is this? They came in their hordes, and Assam virtually became a Muslim state. You see, Delhi, the Aam Aadmi Party, they've turned Delhi into virtually a Muslim state. Bangladeshis coming in, Rohingyas coming in, being invited to set up home here. Now you find Rajasthan. Muslims they can do whatever they please. And the state government, which is the Congress government, allows them to get away with it and actually gives them protection. What has happened to the man or the people who beheaded a tailor for siding with Nupur Sharma? Nothing. Nobody knows where he is, and for all we know, he may be sort of sheltered under the auspices of the Chief Minister. Now, the Congress has won an election in Karnataka. Again, the hijab controversy has been stirred up again. Women are forbidden in these institutions to wear headgear. And then it says, you may wear a hijab if you so choose. Why? If people are not permitted to wear headgear, why is the hijab permitted? Why did they rake up this controversy anyway? When the Karnataka High Court had said it is not an essential item of Muslim wear. It is not necessary. It is not necessary in Pakistan. It is not necessary in Saudi Arabia. So why is it necessary here? Who decreed that? They're a law unto themselves. So please remember, if you vote Congress, it means you want this country to be an Islamic nation. Please remember also, there are no less than about 70 million Bangladeshis, 99% illegal migrants living in India today. That means 70 million citizens of India, genuine citizens, are unemployed. The Congress party keeps talking about unemployment being a problem. You know where it's from. You know who's caused it and who's still causing it. Now, these Bangladeshis now brought their families as well. How much has that swelled their numbers by? Are we a Bangladeshi country or an Islamic country? And then, of course, the infamous Waqf Board Act, or Waqf Act 1995, which gave every square inch of land in this country free of charge to the Waqf Board. And you could not argue against it. The only place you could register a complaint was in the Waqf Tribunal in the state capital. You couldn't go to the district court, you couldn't go to the High Court, you couldn't go to the Supreme Court. Fortunately, this government has taken action on that. Supreme Court has taken cognizance, and they now say that they have to provide absolute proof. You didn't need it before. And that is why the Waqf Board became the third largest holder of land in India, or Bharat. Now, what is all this about? Why are they doing it? Basically, a delegation from Europe, France at the time, went to southern India, had a good look around, and they came back and had 10 minutes with Prime Minister Nehru and said they were effusive in their praise for this hospitality, the culture, the architecture and everything else. And Nehru's answer was, gentlemen, you're praising the very thing I've been trying to eradicate from this country. It's quite plain. He admitted that he was trying to destroy the very basics, the very roots of Indian culture. He did not like Indianness. As he said, he was a Hindu by accident of birth, which I tend to doubt. Then he said he was Muslim by culture and British by education. And yet this was a man who was Prime Minister of India? No wonder he wanted to eradicate everything Indian. And then he divided India into states depending on language. And then he talked about a national language. How do you do that? When you make us conscious of differences in languages, in culture, in the way we talk and everything else, how do you have a nation? Which tells you immediately that the guy didn't want India to be one nation. He wanted a whole lot of different countries back to the old Maharaja system. Why? Divide and rule. That was Congress policy, that was British policy before them, Mughal policy before that. Now the British came here and said, the Mughals taught us architecture. What kind of nonsense was that? Well, when you look at northern India, yes, you could say that. Why? Because the first thing the Mughals did when they came anywhere, they destroyed all our temples and built mosques on top of them. There's your basic culture wiped out. Fortunately, they never went south or didn't manage to get that far south. You can still see beautiful temples, what architecture, what engineering feats. Without all your cranes and modern equipment, you think of getting 80-ton blocks right, 200 foot in the air and plonking them in one place, but to hold the whole edifice together. You see those temples built, still standing, centuries later, millennia later, without bricks, without mortar, without concrete filling or anything like this. It's just blocks of stone. How do they manage it? And you're trying to tell us that foreigners taught us architecture? We were masters in shipbuilding until the British came here and destroyed that industry. You don't believe it? Go to Portsmouth Harbour and have a look at one of the battleships which is still standing, which is still afloat. Nelson's flagship, HMS Victory, from the Battle of Trafalgar. It is built of teak, not oak. It was built in Mumbai as it is today. And it's still there. That tells you what kind of ships were built in this country. British destroyed everything. And Nehru ensured that we only come up in little bits and fits and starts and then stagnate. License Raj was precisely that. You can come up so far, no further. Why? Rampant corruption. You put up small little units everywhere which are totally uneconomic. Why? You get commissions for everything. Nothing was allowed to be made in this country. Why? Import everything, more commissions. Or backhanded, meaning bribery. Now, this Indie Alliance or I.N.D.I.A.A. This alliance, it is a group of monsters who are based on corruption and commissions, nothing else. And the big salvo they fired was this, DMK. Who was it? Udayanithi Stalin, the son of the chief minister. He, in a speech in one of these fora, said, Sanatan Dharma is something which is like COVID-19 or cholera or typhoid. It is a disease or a virus which has to be eradicated. Have you any idea what that means? It means simply this. He's trying to strike at the very roots of our culture, of our religion. Because until you do away with that basic feeling, you're not going to find it easy to replace it with something else. You see, in the Middle Eastern countries, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism all came into being. Why? Because there was nothing else. Arab countries had nothing else until Islam came in. In fact, evidence is now coming to the fore that a lot of them were actually Hindus. But those temples, thanks to shifting sand, just got covered over. What are they trying to do by this? They're trying to remove the very basic, the very roots of our culture. Just like, okay, supposing my name is Arvind and somebody, no, your name is idiot. What does that leave me with? Any identity? They're trying to destroy our very identity. Why? They can't rule any other way. The British destroyed our education system, and the Congress has done precious little to correct it. Schools have been created on paper. Just like the forest camp, money has been spent. But it has not been spent on putting up schools or teaching facilities. It's gone into people's pockets. Congress, for decades, has been a culture of corruption, which the present government is trying to correct very hard. It's trying very hard to do so. You see, many new projects have been sort of put up. Many of them have been set up and announced. Where's the money coming from? It's that corruption which is being stamped out. That money is now available for development. Not only that, try and understand, how is it that we managed to send a probe to the dark side of the moon, a soft landing there, for the price of less than a Hollywood movie? NASA is beginning to wonder, how the hell did they do it? They want our know-how. And Rahul Gandhi, I don't know where this dopey came from, gets up in Parliament and says, we cannot do it here, it cannot happen here. And he's on record as having said that. You see, that old 1835 belief which Lord Macaulay came out with in the British Parliament, that we have to make them believe that if you're Indian, you're useless. If anything is from Britain, it's wonderful. And this Congress family is trying to drive that further into our systems. People at the Ford Foundation in 1970 would have known this. I wrote a little 2-page note on this. And it created one heck of a stir. I also said in that one that the day peace comes to this world, the USA would go bankrupt. And people are still looking at me with a great deal of suspicion. How did he know this? Remember, I just come back 2 years earlier from studies and work experience abroad. So how did I know this? I pointed out it's common sense. But that, it turns out, is a very uncommon thing. Anyway, back to this problem we have. If Hindu culture or Hindu religion or Sanatan Dharma has survived, why? Why has it survived? It is the oldest religion there is. It goes way beyond Judaism. It goes even way beyond Zoroastrianism or the Parsi faith. Even the Parsi faith has survived. Why? Because people believed in it. In Bharat or India, people believed in Hinduism. They still believe in it. The problem is, most of us do not understand that the reason all these regional parties are trying to cut those roots out of our systems, so that A, we can't learn about Hinduism, B, we're penalized if we remain Hindus and don't adopt either Islam or Christianity or Sikhism or something like this, and life is made miserable for all of us. Why? Because they cannot rule this country any other way. They need to remove our basic beliefs so that we wander around, like headless chickens. They can run around, but no brain, they don't know what to do. Now, please understand, it is not just foul-mouthing. It is total war against our very basic culture, our very basic beliefs, our way of life. Now, I don't know about you folk, but I resent that. And yet, how do I get together with others? Because we have been driven apart by these differences in basic opinions, by the Lutyens' intellectual groups. No, we must be secular, we can't do this, we can't do that. Why? But the most basic part of it is, when India or Bharat was divided into India and Pakistan and West and East Pakistan, on the basis of Muslims in Pakistan, West and East, non-Muslims in India, why did you allow Muslims to stay in India? And if you're going to do that, why did you have partition in the first place? It shows one other thing, that Nehru was so thirsty or hungry for power that he allowed and ensured partition took place. No, I'm secular, I have nothing against anybody else. I mean, this is a kind of stupidity. Do we really need it? Why are present-day congressmen trying to do this? Because they are dividing India all over again. How? You go for a caste census. You're taking India back to the 1930s. You don't want progress here, congressmen, or you opposition parties. You just want us to remain stagnant, so that we remain uneducated, unthinking idiots. 1 quarter bottle of alcohol and 1,000 rupees in your pocket at voting time or election time, and you vote for them. They're happy with that. The fact that you and I are being looted for the next 5 years because of this doesn't seem to matter. Now, why do they want a caste census? Because then they say all these uneducated, non-thinking idiots will join their parties and start ruling, which means corruption all over again on a grander scale. Because one of the biggest reasons for corruption, and I mean this sincerely, because you have uneducated, non-thinking or very poor candidates in most key positions in government and in the services. Now, when you have ignorant people like this, who don't know anything, they have to rely on advisors. They can be spiked by anybody. And this is what has happened. These reservations are really the core of most of our problems. Because there is no reservation for capability or competence. Competence is at a discount. Nobody wants it here. But they want position based on caste. Even though they can't even pass their class 4 exams. But they still, no, I'm this caste, so I must get this job. Caste, religion, if you start reservations for all this, and in some places, reservations are up to 65%. What can you do with such things? No wonder a state like Bihar, which once had something like Nalanda University, the seat of learning, everyone all over the world used to come to Nalanda for an education. Today, have a look at Bihar. It is one of the most backward areas possible. And yet they're not short of brains. Because anybody with brains goes to some other state or he goes abroad. Now Modi ji's biggest crime is this, that he has reversed the brain drain. The intelligent people or the capable people who were running abroad are now staying here. It's messing up the economies of Western Europe and the US, and they don't like him. Canada is another one. Now, when you start doing this and making India the hub of the world, what's wrong with that? Today, I can hold my head up and say, yes, I'm proud to be Indian, or Bharat. I'm from Bharat, and I'm proud of it. It's something I couldn't have said 20 years ago. And this makes me rather sick that all these idiots come around saying, we will have caste census. Why do they want to remove Hinduism from our lives, our total culture, our way of life? Why? Because that's what holds us together and binds us together. You break that up and we just rebel. We'll be going back to the uncivilized state, as they say, with grass clothing and a little spear running around trees. I know Rahul Gandhi would love that, but we don't. We're on the march, we're going forward. Don't hold us back. You try that, there will be one hell of a backlash. Trust me on that one. Thank you, folks, and please try and understand that this opposition pitch for caste census is something you should avoid. Let's go forward, not backwards. Don't take us back to the 30s and 40s and 50s. We're already in the 21st century. Let's go forward from there. Thanks, folks. Have a good look at this. Listen, think it over. Don't just say, a lot of hot air. No. Think about it carefully. Because we're at a crossroads. Much depends on which way you vote. To go forward or go back. The Sardarji and his crabs. Let's not be, if one looks like getting out, the other drag him back inside. Let that one get out and do something for the benefit of all those who are still in the basket. Well, folks, like, subscribe, pass it on to your groups, your friends, relatives, ask them to pass it on. But do think about what I've said carefully today. Because the future of our nation, our future generations also, depends on the way you act and think. Ciao.